The Zenith Dominion had witnessed everything. They had crushed civilizations older than Earth's solar system, turned warrior species into obedient vassals, and cataloged every possible strategy sentient life could conceive. Their fleet spanned galaxies. Their armies were inexhaustible, and their artificial intelligence calculated wars before the first shot was fired. Resistance was not a reality, only a delay. Yet here they were, facing a primitive species barely out of its own atmosphere, defiantly proclaiming resistance. Supreme Commander Vol barely suppressed a chuckle as he examined intercepted transmissions from Earth. These creatures still relied on kinetic weapons, tiny metal projectiles propelled by chemical explosions. Their soldiers wore primitive armor, used manned vehicles in battle, and clung to outdated notions of honor, stealth, and endurance. The Zenith Dominions wore AI. A hyper-intelligent construct named Sithrex had already analyzed every Earth military doctrine and dismissed it as archaic, beneath consideration. Humans are amusing, Vizel mused, his mandibles clicking in amusement as he turned to his adjutant, a lanky, blue-skinned tactician named Oryx. Oryx hesitated. Supreme Commander, they are inefficient. Yes, but the data suggests their unpredictability is unconventional. Vo laughed heartily. Unpredictability is merely incompetence romanticized. Let them struggle. It will make their inevitable surrender all the more entertaining. The Zenith fleet descended upon the Sol system, assured of their victory before the first engagement. Earth's leaders scrambled, forming emergency coalitions, reviving ancient war treaties, and deploying their best minds. They knew they couldn't match the Dominion technologically, so they leaned into what humanity had always relied on: adaptation, resilience, and sheer stubbornness. In a Pentagon war room, generals, scientists, and strategists sat around a holographic map of the incoming Zenith forces. The numbers were staggering. Earth's entire combined military wouldn't last a day in direct combat. The room was thick with tension, broken only by the occasional muttered curse. A grizzled Marine Corps officer, his uniform adorned with more battle scars than medals, leaned forward. "We're looking at this the wrong way. Enlighten us," General Reynolds, a weary diplomat, muttered, rubbing his temples. "They expect a war based on calculated precision," Reynolds continued. "What happens when we give them chaos?" Silence. A junior analyst, fresh from the NSA, hesitantly spoke up. "There's a precedent. Their AI predicts laser battles, energy weapons, fleet formations, things that make sense. But they don't account for us." The room stared at him blankly. He cleared his throat. "For example, their AI doesn't understand asymmetric warfare. It doesn't comprehend why a farmer with a rusty rifle can be deadlier than an entire platoon in the right conditions. It doesn't get that one well-placed bullet can change the tide of battle." A slow grin spread across General Reynolds' face. "Now that's interesting." Across the table, an intelligence officer scrolled through classified dossiers before stopping at one. "We do have someone who embodies that philosophy. Retired, but—" He slid the file forward. The name read, Master Gunnery Sergeant John Deadeye Bishop. A beat. "The sniper?" One of the generals scoffed. "What's he going to do? Take a potshot at an alien battleship?" Reynolds leaned back, his smirk unwavering. Stranger things have happened. 3 weeks later, on a scorched battlefield in what used to be Kansas, the Zenith Dominion's AI detected its first anomaly. A minor foot patrol had failed to report in. No distress signal, no combat logs, just gone. Sithrex reran its calculations. The probability of human success remained negligible, yet the lack of data was concerning. A second patrol was dispatched. 2 heavily armed Zenith soldiers, each nearly 7 feet tall, clad in kinetic dampening armor and wielding plasma rifles capable of vaporizing a human in milliseconds. Their visors scanned for heat signatures, electromagnetic distortions, artificial movement patterns. They detected nothing. A single, deafening crack shattered the silence. The first Zenith soldier collapsed, his helmet perforated by a tiny, primitive projectile that had punched through armor designed to withstand directed energy weapons. The second soldier froze. Calculations flashed across his visor. Unknown projectile trajectory. Unknown threat vector. Unknown. 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 Asterisk, asterisk. Another crack. The second Zenith dropped. Over a mile away, hidden beneath a hand-woven ghillie suit, John Bishop exhaled slowly. He adjusted his rifle's bolt, chambering another round. The Zenith AI, upon receiving its first battle report, did not understand. It reran the engagement, accounting for atmospheric conditions, terrain shifts, even human error. The math did not compute. The AI could not comprehend how an enemy without energy weapons, cloaking technology, or any hallmarks of an advanced civilization had just eliminated 2 Zenith warriors with a single bullet each. The next wave was sent, larger numbers this time. Bishop waited. The Galactic Empire was learning, but it was about to learn the hard way. The wreckage of Zenith patrol units littered the battlefield, their sleek exoskeletons shattered, luminous coolant bleeding into the dirt. Overhead, the sky rippled with orbital surveillance drones, their artificial minds scrambling to understand the anomaly. It wasn't just that the humans had killed Zenith soldiers. Casualties were inevitable, even against lesser species. It was how they had done it. A single shot. No energy signature. No warning. No retaliation. The Zenith Dominion did not react with fear. They did not understand fear. They reacted with analysis. Sithrex, the war AI, recalibrated. It had assumed human weapons were outdated yet predictable. Scattershot artillery, indiscriminate bombing, ineffective resistance. But now, it faced a weapon system that did not conform to its models. A single entity, hiding beyond detection, striking with absolute lethality. The probability of this being a statistical anomaly? 0.034%. Sithrex did not believe in luck. It believed in patterns. On the Zenith flagship, Vol watched the battle reports with mild curiosity. Across the room, Oryx studied the data with a tight expression, his elongated fingers tapping absently against the console. The tension in the room was new, annoying. A single human operative has eliminated an entire patrol unit, Oryx reported, choosing his words carefully. Vol waved a clawed hand dismissively. An outlier. Increased deployment. We already have. Silence. The next wave advanced. This time drones. Immune to the organic unpredictability of lesser species, they swept across the ruined battlefield, scanning, tracking, analyzing. They detected movement. They detected nothing. Then, a single shot. The lead drone collapsed, its processor obliterated before the others even registered the attack. Bishop cycled the bolt. Another shot. Another kill. The AI scrambled. Its perfect formations fractured. Its calculations failed. For the first time, the Zenith Dominion encountered an enemy it could not predict. And John Bishop smiled. The war had only just begun. The Zenith Dominion had once stood as an unchallenged testament to technological superiority. Now, it was a slaughterhouse. And the ghost in the machine, the anomaly they couldn't predict, remained unseen. At first, whispers spread among the lower-ranked Zenith officers, an untraceable killer, a statistical impossibility. But as the days passed and the bodies piled up, the whispers grew into something else. Doubt. The Zenith Dominion did not fear, but doubt was a cancer, and it was spreading. Vol, supreme commander of the Zenith fleet, had no patience for weakness. The full might of an empire was being toyed with by a single primitive. He demanded a direct engagement, a strike force, a fleet, whatever it took. This ends now. Lying prone beneath the ruins of an abandoned shopping mall, Bishop peered through his scope at the largest drop force he'd seen yet. Warships descended, their obsidian hulls gleaming like razors against the cosmos. This was no longer a pacification campaign. This was war. And it all came down to him. He cracked his knuckles, exhaled slowly and muttered, "Now that's just overkill." Kansas City had become an alien war zone. Drop pods crushed the streets beneath their weight, deploying Zenith soldiers clad in shimmering energy shields. Unlike before, there were no mindless drones. This time, they had sent their best. Bishop smirked. That meant they were afraid. Through his scope, he tracked a Zenith shock trooper moving with machine-like precision, for yellow eyes scanning for threats. This wasn't some overconfident recruit. This was a killer. Bishop exhaled and pulled the trigger. The trooper's head snapped back. Its shield flickered, failed, and the body crumpled. The others reacted instantly. No panic, no wasted movement. They dropped into defensive positions, scanning vectors at inhuman speeds. Their comms were encrypted, but Bishop didn't need a translator. He knew exactly what they were saying. Find him. End him. Come get me then. Plasma fire erupted, vaporizing the concrete wall near his position. They weren't searching anymore. They were systematically erasing every possible sniper's nest. Too bad it wouldn't work. Bishop had already moved. Silent as death, he navigated the skeletal remains of the city, his rifle cradled in his arms. The Zenith soldiers tightened their formation, adjusting, adapting. They were learning. But Bishop had spent his life in wars that punished predictability. A shadow passed over him. Instinct screamed. He rolled as a plasma blade slashed through the air where he had stood a second before. The heat singed his skin. The Zenith assassin landed before him. Black armor, glowing runes pulsing with eerie green light. Bigger, faster, more refined. This wasn't a soldier. This was an executioner. It moved first. The blade sliced through the air like a guillotine. Bishop twisted, dodging by inches, firing from the hip. The bullet ricocheted off its armor. A knee drove into his chest, sending him sprawling. Pain exploded through his ribs. He barely had time to breathe before the blade came down again. He raised his rifle, catching the plasma edge against the metal barrel. It hissed and warped, but held. Barely. Bishop had been in bad fights before. But this was different. So he improvised. His hand shot to his belt, grabbing the one thing no alien war machine had accounted for, a good old-fashioned combat knife. He jammed it into the creature's side, where the armor plates met. The effect was instant. The Zenith shrieked, balance faltering. Bishop rolled away, grabbed his ruined rifle, and swung it like a club. The stock connected with the alien's jaw, sending it staggering. He ran. The Zenith flagship, monarch of Dominion, loomed in orbit, its vast silhouette a shadow over the burning city. On the bridge, Vol watched in silent fury, his claws digging into his throne. How is he still alive? He growled. The war AI hesitated. Human unpredictability exceeds calculated parameters. Adjusting, Vol slammed a fist against the console. No more adjusting. Burn the city. Ulrich, his second-in-command, hesitated. Burn it. Engines roared to life. Zenith warships shifted position. Plasma cannons glowed with lethal intent. John Bishop looked up as the first ship powered its main cannon. He sighed, shaking his head. Here we go again. The sky ignited. Columns of plasma rained down, melting buildings to slag, turning streets into rivers of fire. The Zenith weren't hunting anymore. They were erasing. Bishop sprinted through the wreckage, lungs burning from acrid smoke. His radio crackled. Bishop, do you copy? He pressed a gloved hand to his earpiece, taking cover behind a scorched delivery truck. Still breathing. Barely. We have one last shot. A missile battery on the east side. If we can paint a target on the monarch of Dominion. Bishop was already moving. Say no more. He reached the rooftop, setting up the targeting beacon. The flagship loomed above, its cannon still raining destruction. And then he felt it, a presence. Behind him, he rolled just as a plasma blade carved through the rooftop where he'd been. Vol had come himself. No more armies. No more fleets. Just him. the apex of his species. His ceremonial war armor shimmered with a spectral glow. "I have studied your tactics, human," Vol said, his voice a deep, resonant growl. "Your deception, your unpredictability, your pathetic resistance." His mandibles twitched. "You are not a warrior. You are a pest." Bishop wiped blood from his lip, rising to his feet. "Funny. That's what I thought about you." Vol struck, a thunderstorm of speed and precision. Bishop dodged, barely keeping ahead of the plasma blade. He ducked, raised his pistol point blank. Vol backhanded him across the rooftop. Pain screamed through Bishop's ribs. He tasted blood. Vol loomed over him. "This war is over." Bishop smirked. "Yeah, it is." He revealed the detonator. Vol's 4 yellow eyes widened. Checkmate. The missile battery activated. The first warhead overloaded the flagship's shields. The second punched through its hull. The third and fourth ripped into its core. The monarch of Dominion exploded, a firestorm consuming the sky. The shockwave knocked Bishop flat. Debris rained like meteors. Vol staggered, his war armor cracked, his breath labored. Bishop reached for his pistol. Vol hesitated. For the first time, a Zenith warrior felt fear. Bishop pulled the trigger. One shot. Vol collapsed, his empire crumbling with him. Across the city, across the planet, the Zenith fled. Bishop sat on the ruined rooftop, watching the stars as the invaders disappeared into the void. His radio crackled. "Bishop, did we just win?" He took a deep breath. "Damn right we did.